Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story.
I pulled into the visitor parking lot of our townhouse complex at 7:23 on a Thursday evening. Every muscle in my body ached. 11 hours of crawling through attics in Scottsdale, replacing ductwork in 115-degree heat. September in Arizona doesn't care that summer's supposed to be over. My work shirt stuck to my back with sweat and insulation dust. The company logo on my chest pocket was barely visible under a layer of grime. My knees cracked as I climbed out of the truck. 3 cars sat in the visitor spaces. Amy's Honda CR-V with a dent in the rear bumper. Jordan's black BMW that probably cost more than I made in a year. Stephanie's Subaru Outback with the Coexist sticker on the back window. I recognized them all. Kristen's friends, they were having one of their wine nights, usually happen twice a month. I learned to make myself scarce during those gatherings. All I wanted was a hot shower and whatever food was left in the fridge. Maybe watch something mindless on TV before collapsing into bed. I grabbed my tool bag from the truck bed and headed for the front door. I could hear them before I even reached the entrance. Female voices, laughter, the high-pitched kind that comes after the second bottle of wine gets opened. I unlocked the door as quietly as I could, not trying to sneak, just too exhausted to announce myself. That's when I heard her voice cutting through the chatter. Honestly, our marriage probably won't make it another year. He's so far below me now compared to where I'm headed. I froze in the entryway, my hand still on the doorknob. My tool bag suddenly felt heavier. Through the archway, I could see all 4 of them. Kristen sat in the center of our sectional sofa like she was holding court. 2 wine bottles on the coffee table, glasses everywhere. Jordan leaned forward eagerly. "Girl, you've outgrown him," Jordan said. Stephanie nodded in agreement. Amy stayed silent, staring into her wine glass. They all laughed. Not nervous laughter, the casual, easy kind. Like Kristen had just told them the funniest joke they'd heard all week. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds. My heart pounded hard enough that I could feel it in my throat, but my head went completely clear. You know that moment when everything just clicks into place? When you finally see something you've been trying not to see for way too long? I walked into the living room. All 4 of them turned to look at me. The laughter died instantly. Kristen's face went from flushed and animated to pale in about 2 seconds. "Below me now?" I said, keeping my voice level. Interesting take. "Oh," Kristen said. Her wine glass trembled slightly in her hand. "You're home early. Emergency call finished faster than expected," I said. "Good thing too." Jordan opened her mouth. "Ryan, she didn't mean..." I held up a hand. "No need to drag it out for another year. Let's end it now." Dead silence. Amy set her wine glass down on the coffee table carefully, like she was afraid it might shatter. Stephanie suddenly found her lap very interesting. "What are you talking about?" Kristen finally managed. "You want out," I said. I pulled my phone from my pocket and checked the time. 7:27. "I'm giving you out. Tonight works for me." I looked at her 3 friends. "I'll give you ladies' privacy to finish your evening. I need to pack." I headed for the stairs. Behind me, nobody said a word. The bedroom felt different somehow. Smaller. I pulled my duffel bag from the closet and started filling it. Work clothes for tomorrow. Underwear. Socks. Deodorant and toothbrush from the bathroom. Phone charger. My laptop. Kristen appeared in the doorway. "You're overreacting to girl talk." I zipped the bag. Nothing to talk about. Everyone complains about their spouse sometimes. "You made yourself clear." She stepped into the room, her heels clicking on the hardwood. "Where do you think you're going?" "Does it matter where I go?" "We need to talk about this like adults." I picked up the duffel bag and turned to face her. "You just spent the evening trashing me to your friends, laughing about how I'm not good enough for you anymore. What's left to talk about?" Her face flushed, anger replacing the fear. "This is ridiculous! You're throwing away 6 years over one comment." I walked past her to the doorway, stopped, looked back. "No," I said. "You already threw them away. I'm just acknowledging it." I went downstairs. Her 3 friends were still frozen on the couch. I grabbed my keys from the hook by the door, my wallet, my work laptop bag. "Ryan!" Kristen was at the top of the stairs now. "You can't just leave." I opened the front door. "Watch me." Then I left. 7:47. on the digital clock in my truck. 24 minutes since I'd walked through that door. 24 minutes since my marriage ended. I drove west on I-10, then north on 48th Street. The Motel 6 sign glowed against the darkening sky. $67 a night. The clerk barely looked at me as I paid cash and took the key to room 214, second floor, exterior entrance. The stairs groaned under my work boots. The room smelled like cigarettes, despite the non-smoking label on the door. Brown carpet worn thin in patches, the kind that's been cleaned 1,000 times but never quite comes clean. Queen bed with a comforter that had seen better days. Small TV bolted to the dresser. But the air conditioning worked. I checked the thermostat out of habit. 72 degrees. Compressor sounded healthy. Not bad. I sat on the edge of the bed. Springs creaked beneath me. The adrenaline was starting to wear off. My hands shook slightly as I set my phone on the nightstand. The reality of what had just happened was beginning to settle in. 6 years of marriage. Gone in 24 minutes. It buzzed. 8:22. A text from Kristen. Come home. We need to talk. I stared at the screen. Didn't respond. 8:35. You're being childish. 8:51. Fine. Have your tantrum. 9:18. I'm sorry, okay? I was venting. 9:47. Please answer me. 10:23. This is insane. 11:04. I didn't mean it. I read every single message, but I didn't type a word back. Instead, I laid back on the thin pillow and stared at the ceiling. There was a water stain in the corner that looked vaguely like Texas. Underneath all the shock and the anger was something else. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. I closed my eyes. Tomorrow, I'd figure out my next move. Tonight, I just needed to process what the hell had just happened. My alarm went off at 5:30, but I was already half awake from my phone vibrating like it was having a seizure. 31 missed calls, 54 text messages, all from Kristen except one. I scrolled through them while the complimentary coffee maker in the corner gurgled to life. The messages showed the full cycle: anger, apology, blame, desperation. The most recent one, sent at 5:47, just said, please. I poured the coffee into a foam cup. Weak, but hot. Better than nothing. I had service calls scheduled starting at 8. Life doesn't stop just because your marriage implodes. My phone buzzed again. Different name this time. Amy Westbrook. Ryan, we need to talk. It's important. About last night and more. I stared at the screen. Almost deleted it. Almost. Instead, I typed back. About what exactly? 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing. Not over text. Can I call you? It's urgent. I looked at the time. 6:19. Way too early for whatever this was going to be. Fine. I typed. Make it quick. Work starts in 90 minutes. The phone rang 5 seconds later. Hey, Amy's voice was quiet, nervous. Thanks for picking up. What do you want? Look, what you heard last night. She took a breath. That wasn't just venting. She's been planning this. I set my coffee down. Planning what? The divorce. She's been planning it for months. Since April, I think. April. 5 months ago. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because what she did last night was messed up, Amy said. Her voice got stronger. And because you need to know what you're walking into, she's been setting you up. Setting me up how? She wanted you to be the one to end it. She's been trying to push you into leaving first so she could claim abandonment, make you look like the bad guy. Amy paused. She has a whole strategy. Her lawyer told her it would help with the asset division if you walked out. My hands went cold. She has a lawyer already? Since late April. His name is Philip Brenner, works downtown. Amy sighed. She's been documenting stuff too, writing down arguments you guys have had. Spinning them to make you look aggressive or neglectful. Building a case. I stood up and walked to the window. The parking lot was empty except for a few cars and a semi-truck idling in the corner. Why are you telling me all this? I asked again. You're her best friend. Because I was there last night. I saw what she did. humiliating you in front of all of us, laughing about it like it was funny. Her voice cracked slightly. That's not okay. And because you've always been decent to me, to all of us, you didn't deserve that. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass. Does she know you're calling me? God, no. She'd lose her mind. Amy laughed, but it sounded hollow. Look, I'm not trying to blow up my friendship here, but someone needed to warn you. She's playing games. Serious games. What else? I asked. What else has she been doing? Planning? Amy went quiet for a moment. She's been taking screenshots of your bank account activities. Anything she thinks looks suspicious. She told us you were being secretive with money, but honestly, I think she's just trying to build ammunition. I'm not secretive with money, I said. I pay the bills every month. She knows exactly where everything goes. I know, but that's not the story she's telling her lawyer. Another pause. She also told him you've been distant and cold for the past year, that you barely talk to her anymore, that you refuse to work on the marriage. That's not accurate. I know it's not. I've seen you guys together. You try. She's the one who's been checked out. Amy sighed heavily. Look, I'm recording this call, okay? I need you to know that. I'll send you the file. Use it however you need to. Just protect yourself. My brain was moving too fast. You're giving me permission to use this as evidence? Yes, absolutely. I'll testify if I have to. What she's doing isn't right. I sat back down on the bed, trying to process everything. Why would you risk your friendship for me? Because it's not about you, Amy said. Her voice got firm. It's about what's right. And honestly, after last night, I'm not sure I want to be friends with someone who treats people like that anyway. We sat in silence for a moment. Thank you, I finally said. Seriously, thank you. Just get a lawyer, like today, if you can. Don't wait. I will. Good. She exhaled. I'm sorry you're going through this. For what it's worth, I always thought you guys were solid. I guess I was wrong. Yeah, I said. Me too. After we hung up, I sat there staring at my phone. The coffee had gone cold. Outside, the sun was starting to come up, turning the parking lot a pale orange. My wife had been planning this since April, documenting, building a case, trying to manipulate me into being the one to leave first. And it had almost worked. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Kristen. Please talk to me. We can fix this. I typed back for the first time since leaving. Get a lawyer. I'll do the same. From now on, we communicate through them only. I hit send and turned off my phone. Then I got dressed for work. I found the business card in my wallet during my lunch break. Dennis Hart, family law attorney. A coworker who'd gone through his own divorce 6 months ago had given it to me. I'd kept it without really knowing why. I turned my phone back on and dialed before I could second guess myself. A receptionist answered on the third ring, Hart & Associates. I need to schedule a consultation, I said, as soon as possible. It's urgent. We have an opening tomorrow, Saturday, at 10 in the morning, if that works. Mr. Hart saw we had a cancellation and wanted to make himself available. I'll take it. Perfect. Can I get your name? I gave her my information, confirmed the appointment, and hung up. Then I forwarded Amy's contact information and the audio recording she'd sent to my email. Saved it in 3 different places. My wife thought she was 3 steps ahead. She had no idea I just caught up. Dennis Hart's office was on the 3rd floor of a building in Scottsdale Quarter. Worn but professional carpet, fluorescent lights, but clean. His secretary showed me into a small conference room at exactly 10 in the morning. He walked in 2 minutes later. Mid-40s, gray at the temples, glasses. He carried himself, like someone who'd seen every divorce trick in the book twice. Thanks for seeing me on such short notice, I said, shaking his hand. He sat down across from me with a legal pad. So tell me what's going on. I laid it all out. The conversation I'd overheard. Walking out. Amy's phone call the next morning. The fact that Kristen had been planning this since April, consulting a lawyer, documenting everything to make me look bad. Dennis took notes the whole time, his face neutral. Do you have the recording Amy sent you? I pulled out my phone and played it. He listened to the entire thing without interrupting. When it finished, he leaned back in his chair. Well, that changes things considerably. He tapped his pen against the pad. She's willing to testify? She said she would. Good. That's very good. He flipped to a new page. Let's talk about assets. Do you own the house? We rent. Lease is in both our names. 2-bedroom townhouse in Tempe, $1,650 a month. We've been there 3 years. Cars? I have a 2016 Toyota Tacoma, paid off. She has a 2020 Lexus, still making lease payments, $495 a month. I co-signed. Bank accounts? Joint checking and joint savings. About $8,600 in savings. Maybe $1,200 in checking right now. Dennis wrote everything down. Any other assets? Retirement accounts? I have a 401k through work. Started it 4 years ago when I made senior technician. Maybe $23,400 in there. She doesn't have one. She works part-time at a real estate agency. Doesn't get benefits. Debt? That one stung a little. She has credit cards. 3 of them. Maybe $11,200 total. All in her name, but I've been helping pay them down. Store cards too. Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's. Maybe another $3,800. You've been making payments on her debt. Yeah. She said we were a team. That's what teams do. He didn't say anything. Just kept writing. We went through everything. Timeline of the marriage, income disparity, who paid for what, her part-time job versus my full-time position. The fact that I covered rent, utilities, groceries, while she spent most of her earnings on clothes and dinners with friends. Do you have any documentation of your own? Dennis asked. Bank statements? Going back 2 years. I keep them in a folder. Old habit from when my dad taught me about finances. Bring those to me. He looked at me directly. Also, from this moment forward, I want you to document every interaction with her. Every text, every call, every conversation. Screenshot everything. Email it to yourself. Create a paper trail. Okay, one more thing. His expression got serious. Do not, under any circumstances, leave the rental property permanently until we sort out the lease situation. You left temporarily, which is fine. But if you formally abandon the residence, that complicates things. Understand? Got it. Good. He closed his legal pad. I'll draft a petition for divorce and have it ready by Monday. We'll file immediately and serve her by the end of next week. Based on what you've told me and what's in that recording, I think we can negotiate a very fair settlement. Maybe better than fair. How much is this going to cost me? Initial retainer is $2,500. After that, I bill hourly at $275. But given your situation and the evidence you've brought me, I don't anticipate this dragging on too long. She's not going to want that recording played in court. $2,500. That was most of my savings. But what choice did I have? Okay, I said. When do you need it? Monday. Come by with retainer and those bank statements. We'll get the paperwork started. I left the office feeling lighter than I had in 24 hours. I had a plan now. Direction. That evening, I drove back to the townhouse. I needed more clothes. Documents. Kristen's Lexus was in the driveway. Lights on inside. I sat in my truck for 5 minutes, building up the nerve. When I finally walked in, she was on the couch. Laptop open. Glass of wine on the coffee table. She looked up when she heard the door. You came back. For my things, I said. That's all. I headed for the stairs. She followed me. We need to talk about this, she said. You can't just throw away 6 years. I went into the bedroom and pulled out a larger suitcase from the closet. Started filling it with more clothes. My good boots. The watch my grandfather gave me. Are you even listening to me? Kristen asked from the doorway. I heard you. I folded a jacket and placed it carefully in the suitcase. But there's nothing to talk about. You made it clear where we stand. I made a mistake. One stupid comment. That's all it was. I stopped and looked at her. April. What? You've had a lawyer since April. You've been planning this for months. Documenting things. Spinning stories. Setting me up to look like the bad guy. I zipped the suitcase closed. Don't insult me by calling it one stupid comment. Her face went white. Who told you that? Does it matter? It was Amy, wasn't it? That backstabbing. I cut her off. Don't blame other people for your choices. She switched tactics. Tears started forming. We can fix this. Go to counseling. Work through it. No. Just like that? No? Just like that. I picked up the suitcase. You want it out? Now you're getting out. Just not on your terms. I walked past her down the stairs. She was right behind me, voice rising. You're being selfish, cruel, after everything I've done for you. I stopped at the door and turned around. What have you done for me? Honestly, spell it out. She faltered. I've been your wife. I've supported you. Supported me how? By spending money we don't have? By complaining about my job while I work doubles to keep us afloat? By telling your friends I'm beneath you? That's not fair. No, I said. What's not fair is pretending this marriage was something it wasn't. You checked out a long time ago. I just didn't want to see it. I left before she could respond, threw the suitcase in the truck bed and drove off. Monday morning, I dropped off the retainer and bank statements to Dennis during my lunch break. He reviewed everything while I waited, nodding occasionally, making notes. This is excellent documentation, he said. The disparity in spending is pretty clear. She's been treating your income like her personal fund while contributing minimal amounts herself. I never really thought about it that way. Most people don't until it's laid out like this. He tapped one of the statements. 400 at Nordstrom in one day, 300 at some restaurant downtown. Meanwhile, you're covering the rent and utilities solo. I didn't say anything. Seeing it all on paper made it harder to ignore. I'll have the divorce petition ready by this afternoon, Dennis said. We'll serve her Tuesday morning. That fast? No reason to delay. The longer we wait, the more time she has to move assets or create problems. Tuesday afternoon, I was at the warehouse loading HVAC units when my supervisor, Gene Pacheco, called me to the office. Got a delivery for you, he said, handing me a manila envelope. Process server just dropped it off. I opened it, copy of the divorce petition. Dennis had filed it yesterday. Kristen had been served this morning. My phone started ringing before the end of my shift. Her lawyer. I let it go to voicemail. Called Dennis instead. She got served, I told him. I know. Her attorney already reached out. Wants to negotiate. That was fast. She knows she's in a bad position. The recording from Amy, the financial documentation, witness statements from her friends backing away from her story. She doesn't want this going to court. He paused. They're proposing a settlement meeting for next Tuesday. What do you think? I think we hear them out. Good, but we don't accept anything that isn't fair to you. This isn't about being vindictive. It's about protecting your interests. Over the next few days, more information came out. Jordan sent me a text apologizing for laughing that night. Said Kristen had called her, trying to get her to say I'd been mean, but Jordan had refused. Offered to verify what actually happened if I needed her to. Stephanie sent a similar message. Said she felt guilty, wanted to help if she could. Amy sent me screenshots, text exchanges from June between Kristen and her lawyer. Kristen asking how much she could get for my $401k, asking about my truck, asking about alimony. Her lawyer coaching her to keep a journal, to document everything, to make me look controlling. I forwarded it all to Dennis. Insurance, he called it, in case she tries to change the terms at the last minute. The settlement conference happened on a Tuesday afternoon at 2. Both attorneys, both of us. Kristen looked exhausted when she walked in. Hair pulled back in a messy ponytail instead of her usual styled waves. Less makeup than I'd ever seen her wear in public. Less polished than usual. She wouldn't meet my eyes. We sat on opposite sides of the conference table. Her lawyer, Philip Brenner, was younger than Dennis, maybe late 30s. Expensive suit. The kind of guy who probably drove a Tesla. He opened strong. Our position is that Miss Axford is entitled to half of all marital assets and requests spousal maintenance given the income disparity. Dennis didn't even blink. He slid a folder across the table. Let's talk about contributions. He presented the evidence methodically. Bank statements showing I'd covered 80% of living expenses for the past 2 years. Kristen's personal spending, averaging $1,400 to $2,100 a month on discretionary items. Restaurants, shopping, spa treatments, credit card debt entirely from her purchases. The witness statements about what happened that Thursday night. 3 of her own friends willing to testify about what they'd heard. Amy's recording revealing the premeditation. Text messages showing her lawyer coaching her to build a false narrative. Brenner's confident expression started to crack. He flipped through the documents, his jaw tightening. My client gave up career opportunities to support the marriage. He tried. Your client works part-time by choice and has a real estate license, Dennis said. She's employable. In fact, according to these records, she's been licensed for 2 years and has closed exactly 3 sales. That's a choice, not a sacrifice. The Lexus is in both names. And she insisted on leasing it, despite my client's objections. She can assume the lease or surrender it. We have text messages where he specifically said they couldn't afford it. What about the credit card debt? Incurred entirely by your client for personal purchases. She can assume it, unless you'd like me to read through this itemized list of charges in court. Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, brunch at places that charge $20 for Eggs Benedict. Brenner looked at Kristen. She was staring at the table, her face flushed. They took a break at 3:15. During the break, Kristen asked to speak with me privately. Dennis advised against it. I agreed anyway. Wanted closure. We went to a conference room. Door open. Attorneys nearby. I made a mistake, Kristen said. A huge mistake. Can we please try counseling? You planned this for 5 months, I said. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. I was frustrated. I never really wanted this. Yes, you did. You just wanted it on your terms. She started crying. I don't want to lose you. You don't want to lose the financial support, I said. There's a difference. That's not fair. Neither is what you did. We returned to negotiation. By 4:47, we had terms. She'd keep her Lexus and assume the remaining lease payments, her personal belongings, her retirement accounts, which didn't exist. Half of the joint savings, $4,300. I'd keep my truck, my personal belongings, my $401k, minus the marital portion they calculated at $7,800. The other half of joint savings. She'd assume all her credit card debt, $11,200. Her store credit debt, $3,800. No spousal support. We were both employable. The townhouse lease would be broken. We'd both move out. Security deposit split. Legal fees, each pays their own. Timeline, 60 days to finalize. We signed the papers the following Friday. Separate signings. I never saw her face that day. Total legal costs, for me, $4,200. The retainer plus 6.2 billable hours. It cleared out my savings account, but it was worth it. I sent Kristen one final text. Papers are signed. I'll be out of the townhouse by October 31st. Don't contact me again. She responded, I hope you find whatever you're looking for. I typed back, I already did. Self-respect. Then I blocked her number and deleted the contact. October 1st, I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Mesa, near Dobson Road and Southern Avenue, $11.75 a month, cheaper than before. The complex was older, but well-maintained. Second floor unit with a small balcony that faced east. I'd get morning sun. Everything in that apartment was mine, my choice. My furniture from IKEA. $1,400 worth of bed frame, couch, dining table. I spent a Saturday assembling it all myself. Found a strange satisfaction in following the instructions, building something from scratch. First time in years, everything around me reflected my decisions alone. I started my new position as lead technician the same day. Salary position, $68,000 a year. Jean had offered it to me during all the chaos, said I'd earned it. The new role came with better hours, more responsibility, managing a small team, training new hires, less time crawling through attics, more time problem solving and planning installations. My first paycheck was $21.73 after taxes and benefits. I sat in my truck in the parking lot after work, looking at the direct deposit notification, more than I'd ever made in 2 weeks before. I set up an automatic transfer right there on my phone, $500 a month into savings. Decided I'd never be in a position where I couldn't afford to protect myself again. Mid-October, Amy texted me. Said the friend group had basically dissolved after the truth came out. Nobody wanted to be around Kristen anymore. She tried hosting events. Nobody showed up. Late October, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Kristen had moved to a studio apartment downtown, $950 a month. Took a second job serving at a wine cafe to make her credit card minimums. Still paying the Lexus lease. $495 a month she couldn't afford. I didn't feel satisfaction hearing that. Just emptiness. November brought a performance bonus, $1,200. I used it to finish furnishing my apartment and build my emergency fund. By the end of the month, I had $2,300 saved. Felt financially stable for the first time in years. December, I ran into Amy at Target near Tempe Marketplace. How are you doing? She asked. Really? Better than I've been in a long time, I said. You? Good. I'm glad I called you that morning. It was the right thing. It was. You probably saved me from years of worse. We talked for a few minutes. Parted as friends. Closure on that chapter. February 14th. Valentine's Day. Ironic timing. My company held a supplier appreciation event at a warehouse in Glendale. Free dinner, networking with vendors. Jean had encouraged the whole team to go. I went mostly for the free food and the chance to put faces to the names I dealt with on the phone. The warehouse was decorated with company banners and folding tables covered in white tablecloths. A buffet line stretched along one wall, the usual chicken, salmon, vegetable medley. I grabbed a plate and got in line. I was trying to decide between the two entrees when a woman next to me said, "The chicken's actually decent. The salmon, not so much. Trust me, I tried it already." I looked over. Early 30s, brown hair pulled into a practical ponytail, warm brown eyes, genuine smile. Her name tag said Lily Thompson, Western Supply, parts manager. "Good to know," I said. "I usually stick with chicken anyway. Safer choice." "Smart man. You're with Axford Cooling, right?" I recognize the name tag. "Ryan, is it?" 7 years now. Axford Cooling and Heating. No relation to me, just a coincidence with the last name. "You're with Western Supply?" "Parts manager. 3 years. I've probably processed your orders. You guys always need the weird fittings nobody else stocks." I laughed. "That's us. Last week, I needed a connector that I swear hasn't been manufactured since 1995. "The Robert Shaw adapter?" "Yeah, I remember that order. Had to call 3 distributors to find one. You found it, though. Saved me on that job." We moved through the buffet line, talking easily. She told me about a customer who tried to return a compressor he'd clearly dropped from a second-story roof. I told her about the time I'd found a family of raccoons living in a commercial unit. The conversation flowed naturally. No awkward pauses, no forced small talk. When we reached the end of the line, she said, "Well, this was nicer than I expected. Usually these things are pretty dull." Agreed. Good food, good conversation. She hesitated for a second, then smiled. "Maybe we'll talk again sometime. I mean, when you're not desperately searching for obsolete parts." "This was nice," I said. "Maybe I'll call in an order tomorrow and actually talk to you instead of the automated system." Her smile widened. "I like that." I did call the next day and the day after. Professional at first, gradually more personal. We discovered shared interests. Hiking, classic rock, budget-friendly dining. She mentioned she was single, divorced 2 years ago. Amicable split. I mentioned my recent divorce. Neither of us dwelt on the past, just focused on getting to know each other. Late February, we met for coffee at a place in downtown Mesa. We talked for 90 minutes. The conversation flowed easily. No mention of exes, just 2 people enjoying each other's company. Mid-March, we had dinner at the Ostrich, casual American restaurant. Lily insisted on splitting the check. I appreciated her independence. We walked around downtown after. She said she really enjoyed spending time with me. I told her I felt the same way. We went hiking at South Mountain Park the following week. Picnic lunch, more easy conversation. The relationship was developing naturally, no rush. Late March, I sat on my apartment balcony on a Saturday morning, coffee in hand, thinking about the past 7 months. Discovery in September, divorce finalized in November. New relationship beginning in February. I realized something sitting there. Kristen had wanted someone she could show off, not someone she respected. I had spent years trying to be enough for someone who kept moving the goalposts. Her leaving was the best thing that ever happened to me. My phone buzzed. Text from Lily, suggesting weekend plans. I smiled, responded immediately. First time in years. I was excited about the future instead of anxious about it. April came. 5 months after the divorce was finalized. I was finishing an installation at an office building in Scottsdale. Same building as Dennis Hart's law office, actually. I ran into him in the parking garage. "Ryan," he said, "how are things?" "Really good, actually. New apartment, new position, new relationship." That's what I like to hear. Best revenge is a life well lived. "Not even about revenge," I said. "Just about living better." Even better answer. Take care of yourself. I drove to meet Lily for lunch. Stopped at a red light. 2 cars over, I saw the Lexus. Kristen behind the wheel. She didn't notice me. She looked tired, stressed. I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no sadness, just acceptance. The light turned green. We went in different directions. I met Lily at Oregano's Pizza Bistro. She greeted me with a genuine smile. We ordered, talked about weekend plans, laughed about a coworker's story. Sitting there across from her, I realized something. This is what it should feel like. Easy, honest, mutual respect. No games, no manipulation, no measuring worth by job title or income. You can't build a future with someone who's planning your exit. You can't love someone into respecting you. You can't win a game you didn't know you were playing. Self-respect isn't negotiable. Real partnership doesn't require constant proof of worth. She thought I was below her. Turns out, I was just done being beneath her expectations. Best decision I never planned to make.
Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.